Good vibes this morning for Apple. Bank of America reiterated the company as the top pick, maintaining a buy rating and a price target of $230 on the stock. B of A analysts are optimistic about the adoption of AI-enabled phones. They're coming? Dan, Yahoo Finance's Dan Howley here to tell me whether or not these AI-enabled phones are coming. Are they coming?
I think they call them IntelliPhones. That is, IntelliPhones.
They need to workshop
in
that
quotes.
one.
Yeah, but I mean, look, this is something that Apple clearly has had to work on. They don't have any really generative AI capabilities right now that are doing anything. They've been teasing this for some time. Tim Cook has been teasing it on various earnings calls just because they've been left in the dust. Microsoft has generative AI, Google has generative AI, Meta, Amazon, all of these companies are doing it. Some success, some flubs here and there, but Apple has been the one kept out. And so this is seen by a lot of analysts as potentially a kind of new driver for smartphone sales. Now, do I feel that way? Not
Why
yet.
not?
Well, I don't, unless they show something at WWDC that's like software driven that I think is going to get people excited, then it's not going to do anything, right? Mm-hmm. People care about the camera, the screen, and the battery. Now, beyond that, there's got to be some amazing software feature. No one's ever like, man, did you get that Siri update? Have you ever heard anyone say that? No, even when Siri came out, people were like, cool. I'm sorry, yeah. I just activated everybody's phone. But I think if they can do something with the software that gets people actually excited, then it will be a driver. Now, what does that look like? I don't know, right? Because Samsung and Google already have generative AI capabilities on their own phones, and it's not really a reason for people to want to buy them, right? It's more about the capabilities that the phones physically offer. So I don't necessarily know that this is going to be the driver that everybody hopes it's going to be, unless it truly is something that Apple can say, look at how amazing this is compared to the rest of what's out there. This is going to get people to want to buy.
So Dan, then how much is riding on the Worldwide Developers Conference here next month? Just in terms of if there's any disappointment, what do you think the impact is? Or I guess what are analysts saying that the impact could potentially be here on Apple and the demand there for their phones, at least in the near term?
Well, I think this is really a kind of setting up table stakes for like the future of Apple and their software. Just because, look, they're already seen as behind on this technology that's changing things, right? Microsoft showed with their laptops that these are interesting technologies that can do a lot, right? They have new features called things like recall that can kind of pull up anything you've been doing on your phone in the past, couple of years. If you have the settings tweaked right, they're doing cool, interesting things. Apple needs to offer that across everything, not just the iPhone. So if they disappoint, I don't think it's going to get people to not buy an iPhone. But I think it's going to leave Wall Street and analysts saying, well, what gives? Has Apple lost its edge? And I think that's more along the lines of what would happen.
Dan, is that the right way? And going back to what you just said a minute ago, that Apple is very much viewed as maybe lagging when it comes to AI adoption in the AI race right now. Is that the right way to view Apple at this point? And I guess is it a bit surprising just given the fact that you've covered the company for so long and it's normally on the cutting edge when it comes to technological advances and adoption? Yeah,
I think when it comes to where they should be as far as at least having something to preview, right? They're behind, right? But if you look at something like Meta, they're releasing these technologies as open source, so it's not really finding its way into too many products. It's more on the advertising side. Amazon, obviously, this is more about, they have their Rufus AI assistant, which is helpful but has its issues. Google has launched generative AI. It's telling you to eat rocks, right? So Apple doesn't want to do that, right? That, I think, would be a bigger problem for Apple and the perception of Apple than it would be for something like Google. Now, it's a huge problem for Google because they're supposed to be the source of trust online. You don't say, let me Google this real quick. Because you don't trust them. You do it because you do trust them. So it's a huge problem for Google. Apple is all about fit and finish. It's all about delivering a product that people love. And if they flub that, I think that would be a bigger problem than not having anything at all.
Nobody should be surprised that artificial intelligence is telling humans to eat rocks.
Yeah, I mean, look, eat rocks, eat paste, it's totally fine. And
trying to get rid of us, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not like you ever go to Google for anything important. You know, so.
Well, we're just going to leave it there. Howley, great stuff. Thanks so much for hopping on with us here this morning.